You can't win until you master these 5 things. And I'm not talking about talent, luck, or who you know. I'm talking about the real things, the ones that separate the people who talk from the people who do, the ones who complain from the ones who win. You want success? You want freedom? Then let's get serious about the work you have to do inside yourself. The first thing you have to master is emotional discipline. This is where most people lose before they even start. Everyone waits to feel motivated. They wait for inspiration. They wait for confidence. But the truth, it's never coming. Discipline is doing what you said you would do, long after the mood you made the commitment in has left. It's getting up early when your bed is warm. It's sending the email when you feel insecure. It's working out when your body screams no. Mastering your emotions is how you take back your power. If your feelings run the show, then your dreams don't stand a chance. Motivation might spark the fire, but emotional discipline keeps it burning. Next, you need a clarity of purpose. Not just vague goals. Not I want to be rich or I want to be happy. That's not clarity. That's fantasy. What specifically do you want? Why do you want it? Who do you want to become in the process? If you can't answer those questions clearly, you'll stay stuck chasing shiny distractions and wondering why nothing sticks. Winners get laser focused. They write it down. They visualize it. They know what the finish line looks like, so every step has purpose. Clarity creates momentum. It tells your brain what to filter, what to act on, and what to ignore. Without it, you're just reacting to life instead of creating it. Third, consistency beats intensity every time. Stop looking for hacks. Stop waiting for a miracle moment or a breakthrough. Do the reps. Show up daily. You don't have to go big. You just have to keep going. One small action done every day compounds. It builds character. It builds trust with yourself. You can't build a life you love by only showing up when you feel like it. Think about this. A mediocre plan executed consistently will outperform a brilliant plan that's never followed through. Momentum isn't magic. It's just movement repeated over time. Fourth, and this is big, you must learn to say no. Most of you aren't busy, you're just distracted. You're saying yes to things that drain you, that pull you away from your vision, that make you resentful and tired. Every yes you say to the wrong thing is a no to your goals. Start protecting your time like your future depends on it, because it does. Set boundaries, cut out noise, be intentional with your energy. People won't always like it, but the right ones will respect it. Saying no is not selfish, it's self-respect. It's leadership. It's how you stay on track. Finally, the most powerful thing you can master, taking full responsibility. No blaming, no excuses, no waiting for someone to fix it for you. Own your results, own your patterns, own your growth. Winners don't whine. They reflect, adjust, and execute. Is life unfair? Absolutely. Will you have setbacks? Of course. But what matters is what you would do about it. Every time you blame someone else, you give away your power. Every time you point fingers, you stay stuck. But the second you decide that it's on you, all of it, you unlock the ability to unchange it. That's where your strength lives. You want to win? Then start mastering these 5 things. Stop chasing shortcuts. Stop waiting for permission. You already have everything you need inside of you. But you've got to build the habits, the mindset, and the standards that support the life you want. You won't win overnight, but you'll win over time, every single time. If you show up, if you stay consistent, if you take responsibility, and if you guard your vision with everything you've got, the world won't be able to ignore your results. The truth is, success isn't complicated. It's just uncomfortable. But if you can master these 5 things, you won't just win, you'll become unshakable. Let's go. You can't win until you master these 5 things. And I mean master them, not just know them, not just talk about them, but live them every single day. People think success is about doing more. It's not. It's about doing what matters with laser focus and relentless consistency. And it always starts inside of you. You can read every book, listen to every podcast, hire every coach, and still stay stuck if you don't take full control of what's going on inside your own mind and your own habits. Let's start with emotional discipline. This is the foundation. Most people are reactive. They let their feelings dictate their actions. But here's the truth. Your emotions don't care about your goals. Your fear doesn't care about your dreams. Your laziness doesn't care about your legacy. If you only do things when you feel like it, your life will be ruled by hesitation, doubt, and excuses. Emotional discipline is about showing up anyway. It's the voice in your head that says, I know this is hard, but we do hard things. You need to become the kind of person who follows through no matter what. That kind of discipline changes everything. Because when your feelings no longer control your actions, your life becomes unstoppable. You stop living like a passenger and start driving your own results. Then there's clarity. Clarity is your internal GPS. Most people are frustrated not because they're incapable, but because they're directionless. They're busy all day, doing 100 little things that don't move them forward, and then they wonder why they're exhausted and unfulfilled. The problem isn't their effort, it's their aim. When you're clear on what you want, why you want it, and what it's going to take, everything changes. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop comparing yourself to others. Clarity cuts through chaos. It gives your mind something to lock onto. Without it, you're like a ship without a compass, drifting, lost, and eventually stuck. You need to ask yourself, what does winning look like for me? Be brutally honest. Be specific. When you can answer that with certainty, you finally start playing your own game. Next is consistency. And I want you to hear this loud and clear. Consistency is more important than intensity. It's not about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do every single day. It's the tiny, unsexy, repetitive actions that create massive results over time. Everyone loves the idea of the big leap, the breakthrough, the magic moment. But what actually builds your life? The grind, the habits, the routines. Brushing your teeth once a week doesn't help. It's brushing every day that keeps them healthy. The same applies to everything else. You want confidence? Practice showing up. You want progress? Do the work even when no one is watching. If you can be the kind of person who honors your habits even when motivation disappears, you're going to win. Maybe not instantly, but inevitably. Now let's talk about the power of saying no. This is one of the most underdeveloped skills in most people's lives. You're tired, not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too much of what doesn't matter. Every time you say yes to something that's not aligned with your purpose, you're saying no to what truly matters. You've got to protect your energy like it's $1 million asset, because it is. You can't afford to spend it on every distraction, every invitation, every shiny object. Winners are ruthless about their focus. They don't entertain drama. They don't people please. They don't apologize for choosing their future over someone else's comfort. You want to win? Start saying no to anything that doesn't serve your highest vision. And finally, you've got to take complete responsibility. This is the ultimate power move. No one's coming to save you. No one owes you anything. Life will knock you down. It will hand you unfair circumstances. But what you would do with them is what defines you. Blame is a trap. Excuses are a prison. Responsibility is freedom. The moment you stop pointing fingers and start asking, what can I do about this, is the moment you take your life back. You become someone who learns, adapts, and overcomes. You stop being the victim and start being the force. You can't win until you master these 5 things. Not because life is trying to punish you, but because these are the tools you need to carry your success. Anyone can get lucky. Anyone can catch a break. But if you want to sustain greatness, if you want to look back and be proud of how you built it, these 5 things are non-negotiable. Master your emotions. Get clear on your purpose. Show up consistently. Protect your focus. Own your results. That's how you win. Not just once, but for life. Most people want to win. They want success, freedom, fulfillment, impact, but wanting it isn't enough. Because the truth is, you won't win until you master 5 very specific things. And these things aren't external. They're internal. This isn't about having the perfect resume, knowing the right people, or having money in the bank. This is about self-mastery. The people who win, truly win, aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented. They're the ones who get these 5 things right. And they practice them every single day like their future depends on it, because it does. The first thing you have to master is emotional discipline. Most people live at the mercy of how they feel. They wake up tired, so they skip the gym. They feel anxious, so they avoid the meeting. They feel insecure, so they stay quiet. If your emotions run your life, then your goals will always take a backseat. Emotional discipline doesn't mean you never feel fear or doubt. It means you act in spite of them. It means you train yourself to choose action over comfort. Discipline is the muscle that carries you when motivation fades. And it always fades. You will never always feel like it. The people who win are the ones who get up and do it anyway. They don't negotiate with their excuses. They execute their standards. You can feel tired and still get it done. You can feel afraid and still move forward. That's emotional discipline. And it's a non-negotiable skill if you're serious about growth. Next, you need clarity. Most people lose not because they lack drive, but because they lack direction. They don't have a clear target. If you don't know exactly what you're working toward, how do you expect to get there? You're just drifting, hoping something will click. But life doesn't work like that. You need to define success on your terms. What does your dream life actually look like? Get specific. What kind of work are you doing? What does your day look like? Who are you surrounded by? What kind of energy do you feel? You need to be able to close your eyes and see it clearly. That vision is what pulls you forward when things get hard. Clarity gives you focus. It eliminates confusion. It helps you say no to the wrong things and stay locked on the right ones. Without it, even the most ambitious person ends up exhausted and scattered. With it, every action becomes purposeful. Third is consistency. And this is where most people fall apart. Because consistency is boring. It's unglamorous. It's showing up again and again, often without applause or visible results. But make no mistake, this is where transformation happens. Small actions repeated daily create massive change. It's brushing your teeth. It's drinking water. It's writing every morning. It's calling the prospects even when they don't respond. When you stay consistent, you build momentum. You build trust with yourself. You prove that you are who you say you are. Consistency compounds. It's not about being perfect. It's about never quitting. Most people give up way too soon. They expect quick results and give up when things get tough. But the winners, they keep going. They fall in love with the process. They understand that big wins are built through boring reps. Now let's talk about the power of saying no. Your time, energy, and attention are your most valuable assets. And if you don't protect them, the world will drain them. You can't win if you're constantly distracted, constantly pleasing others, constantly pulled in 100 different directions. You've got to get comfortable disappointing people to stay aligned with your mission. That means saying no to things that don't serve you. No to toxic relationships. No to time-wasting habits. No to obligations that drain you. Every yes is a trade. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So choose wisely. Winners guard their focus. They don't apologize for putting their goals first. You have to train yourself to say no with confidence and clarity. That's how you protect your potential. And finally, the ultimate game changer, taking full responsibility. No one is coming to save you. No one owes you a thing. The moment you decide that your life is 100% your responsibility is the moment you unlock real power. That doesn't mean everything is your fault, but it means everything is your opportunity. You can't control the past. You can't control other people, but you can control your response. You can choose how you move forward. Responsibility is not a burden, it's your freedom. When you stop blaming, you start building. When you stop waiting, you start creating. Ownership is what separates the talkers from the doers. It's what turns potential into progress. So if you want to win, stop focusing on what you don't have and start focusing on who you need to become. Master your emotions. Get clear on your goals. Stay consistent. Protect your focus. Take full responsibility. These aren't easy, but nothing about winning is easy. That's what makes it worth it. Because once you master these 5 things, no one can take your power away. You become the kind of person who doesn't just chase success. You create it every single day. Winning isn't about chance. It's about choice. It's about choosing every single day to do the work that most people avoid. It's about choosing growth over comfort, clarity over chaos, responsibility over blame. You want to win? Then you've got to master 5 things that have nothing to do with luck and everything to do with how you lead yourself. These 5 things are simple, but they're not easy. And that's why most people never reach their potential, because mastering these takes work, inner work, uncomfortable work, but it's the kind of work that changes everything. Let's start with the truth that most people run from: your emotions cannot lead the way. If you follow your feelings, they'll take you in circles. They'll pull you away from the hard things. They'll convince you to wait, to delay, to hide. That's why emotional discipline is the first step to winning. You need to train yourself to take action even when your feelings scream no. You need to stop waiting to feel ready and start acting because it's the right thing to do. That's what high performers do. They don't wait to feel motivated. They build systems and habits so they don't have to. Emotional discipline means you make decisions based on your goals, not your mood. And every time you do that, you become more powerful. You build self-trust. You build identity. And eventually, that discipline becomes your new default. But discipline alone isn't enough if you're headed in the wrong direction. That's where clarity comes in. Without clarity, your energy is wasted. You work hard, but nothing seems to click. That's because effort without direction is like running full speed in the wrong direction. Clarity is about knowing exactly what you want and why you want it. Not the filtered version for social media, not the dream someone else handed you, but the real thing that lights you up inside. What does your version of success look like? Who do you want to become? What are you willing to give up to get there? Most people don't answer these questions because they're afraid of what the answers might demand. But clarity is what makes the struggle worth it. It's what fuels discipline. When you know what matters, you stop chasing what doesn't. Then comes consistency. And this is where the magic happens. Not in the giant leap, but in the tiny step you take again and again and again. Consistency is what separates dreams from results. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. But you do need to show up every single day, even when it's boring, even when it's slow, even when no one is watching. Especially then, because that's when character is built. Most people quit not because they don't have what it takes, but because they don't stay long enough to see the results. Your goals are waiting for you to stay consistent, to keep going when it's hard, to keep building when the results aren't instant. You want progress? Stay consistent. You want confidence? Stay consistent. You want to become unstoppable? Show up even when it's inconvenient. But you can't stay consistent if your energy is leaking everywhere. That's why you must master the power of saying no. No is not negative. It's powerful. It's protective. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying no to your growth. Think about that. Every distraction, every toxic person, every unnecessary obligation. Those are all thieves stealing your time and attention. You need to become intentional with your yes. You need to protect your goals like your life depends on it, because your future does. Saying no isn't selfish. It's strategic. It's how you create space for what actually matters. Winners don't say yes to everything. They say yes to what aligns and no to everything else. That's how you stay focused. That's how you stay free. And finally, none of this works without full responsibility. Owning your life is the ultimate power move. You can't control what happened to you, but you can always control what you do next. Stop blaming, stop waiting, stop wishing. Take the pen and write your own story. Responsibility means you stop giving your power away. It means you own your mistakes, your habits, your results. No more excuses, no more playing small. The moment you decide it's all on you is the moment everything begins to shift, because when you own it, you can change it. That's how you take control of your life. That's how you win. So here's the truth. Mastering these 5 things will require more of you than you've ever given, but they will also give you more than you've ever received: emotional discipline, clarity, consistency, boundaries, responsibility. When you live by these, you don't just hope for success, you create it. Not overnight, not easily, but unshakably, relentlessly, permanently. That's how you win. That's how you change your life. Everyone wants to win. But most people don't understand what it actually takes. They think winning is about talent or luck or timing. But real winners know the truth. Winning is about what you build inside yourself. It's about mastering a handful of powerful principles that guide your every move. And until you master these 5 things, you're always going to feel like you're falling short. You might make progress, you might get some recognition, but deep down, you'll know there's another level you haven't unlocked. These 5 things aren't optional. They're the price of entry if you want to play at your highest level. The first is emotional discipline. You will not always feel like doing what needs to be done. That's just reality. You'll feel tired, discouraged, afraid, distracted, and if you let those feelings lead the way, you'll build a life based on avoidance and inconsistency. Emotional discipline means you take action even when you don't feel like it. It's the ability to make choices based on your values and goals instead of your temporary emotions. This is what separates amateurs from professionals. It's not about always being inspired. It's about showing up regardless of your mood. Every time you push through resistance, you get stronger. You create a habit of follow-through. You prove to yourself that you're not controlled by fear or laziness or doubt. The more disciplined you become, the more freedom you create, because emotional discipline builds momentum, and momentum is what carries you when motivation disappears. Second, you need clarity. You cannot hit a target you can't see. If you're vague about what you want, your results will be just as vague. People spend years working hard but going nowhere because they never stop to define their destination. Clarity gives you direction. It helps you make decisions faster. It eliminates distractions. When you're clear about where you're going, you stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You stop chasing every new idea. You lock in. You focus. You make every action count. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from getting honest. What do you really want? Why does it matter to you? What are you willing to sacrifice for it? These questions are uncomfortable, but they're necessary. Because clarity isn't about getting everything. It's about getting what matters most. The third piece is consistency. And this is the one that trips up so many people. You can be brilliant, you can be talented, you can have the best ideas in the world, but if you're inconsistent, none of it matters. Progress isn't about how hard you work on one day. It's about how often you show up. Consistency creates trust. It creates habits. It creates the invisible foundation that success stands on. People love to talk about hustle and grinding, but most of the time, the grind is just doing the same boring things day after day. And that's where greatness is built. Not in the highlight reel, but in the daily routine. Consistency isn't sexy, but it's powerful. It's the commitment to keep going, even when it's slow, even when it's lonely, even when it looks like nothing's working. Because you trust that the results are coming. And they always do, for the ones who stay the course. Fourth is learning to say no. This is about boundaries. This is about protecting your energy. Because if you're saying yes to everything, you're actually saying no to the things that matter most. You cannot win if you're constantly pulled in every direction. Every yes you give should be intentional. Every commitment you make should align with your vision. You need to stop pleasing people and start honoring your priorities. That means saying no to things that drain you, to people who distract you, to opportunities that don't serve your mission. Saying no is a skill. And it's one of the most important skills you'll ever learn, because your time and focus are limited, and if you don't guard them, the world will waste them. Winners know this. They're not afraid to say no, not because they're rude, but because they're focused. Because they understand that every minute spent on the wrong thing is a minute stolen from the right thing. Finally, you must take full responsibility for your life. No more blaming your past. No more waiting for someone to give you permission. No more excuses. Responsibility means you own everything, your choices, your habits, your outcomes. Even the things that aren't your fault, you still take responsibility for how you respond. That's what gives you power. Because if it's someone else's fault, you're stuck. But if it's your responsibility, you can change it. That's where transformation begins. That's where growth happens. That's where you go from being a victim of your life to being the creator of it. And yes, it's hard, but it's worth it. Because when you own your life, you unlock the ability to shape it. So if you're serious about winning, stop chasing shortcuts. Start mastering these 5 things: emotional discipline, clarity, consistency, boundaries, responsibility. These aren't just habits. They're tools. They're the foundation of greatness. They're the difference between people who wish and people who win. Make the decision to master them, and your life will never be the same. Winning isn't about having it all figured out. It's not about being perfect, or having the right connections, or waiting for the stars to align. Winning is about who you become. It's about mastering a few fundamental things that, when practiced daily, completely change the way you live, think, and lead. Until you master these 5 things, you'll keep circling the same problems, feeling like you're almost there, but not quite. You'll get tired. You'll lose momentum. You'll wonder what's missing. The truth, it's not more information. It's not more hustle. It's mastery of the things that actually move the needle. First, emotional discipline is the anchor. Everyone feels fear, doubt, hesitation. Everyone has days when they feel off, when they question themselves, when they want to give up. But the difference between winners and everyone else is how they respond to those emotions. Winners don't pretend they don't feel them. They just don't give those feelings the steering wheel. They get up and do what needs to be done anyway. They've trained themselves to act beyond their emotions. That's emotional discipline. It's when you stop reacting and start responding. You don't let one bad mood wreck your momentum. You don't let fear stop your action. You learn to ride the wave and still move forward. When you develop that level of control over yourself, you stop waiting for motivation to show up. You show up and let motivation follow. Then there's clarity. Without clarity, you're moving but not advancing. You're busy but not productive. You wake up each day reacting to life instead of creating it. Clarity is what gives purpose to your actions. When you're clear on your vision, on your goals, and on what matters most, you stop wasting time on things that don't align. You stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You start measuring progress in your own lane. And that's where peace and power come from. Clarity removes decision fatigue. It silences the noise. It gives you direction when the world is chaotic. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. But once you're clear, even your failures become lessons that move you forward instead of setbacks that break you. Consistency is the third key. The hard truth is that most people don't struggle because they lack talent. They struggle because they lack consistency. They start strong and fizzle out. They make promises they don't keep. They're obsessed with instant results. But real progress is built on small, repeated actions. It's not about doing everything all at once. It's about doing a few things well, day in and day out. The people who win long term are the ones who show up when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, when no one's clapping. Consistency builds trust with others, yes, but more importantly, with yourself. It's how you prove to your brain that you are the kind of person who follows through. That identity, that belief, that's what changes everything. The fourth principle is saying no. And this one might be the most uncomfortable of all, because it requires boundaries. It requires choosing your priorities over people's opinions. But if you don't learn to say no, your life will be ruled by distraction and obligation. Every yes has a cost. You can't say yes to everything and still expect to grow. You've got to learn to say no to things that are misaligned with your goals. No to people who drain you. No to habits that hold you back. This isn't about being rigid or selfish. It's about protecting your energy so you can give your best to what matters most. The clearer your vision becomes, the more often you'll need to say no. And the more you say no to what doesn't serve you, the more space you create for what does. Finally, the cornerstone of it all is responsibility. You want freedom? Take responsibility. You want to grow? Take responsibility. Everything changes when you stop pointing fingers and start asking, what can I do about it? Even if it's not your fault, it's still your responsibility to rise, to heal, to learn, to lead. Because no one is coming to save you. The sooner you stop waiting and start owning, the faster you'll move. Responsibility isn't blame, it's power. It's the mindset that says, I am the author of my story. That one belief can move mountains. When you take ownership of your actions, your energy, your future, you become unstoppable. These 5 things: emotional discipline, clarity, consistency, the power of no, and radical responsibility are not complicated, but they are rare. That's why winners stand out. They do what others won't. They commit when others quit. And they build habits that support the life they want, not just the one they have. If you master these 5 things, you won't need to chase success. It will become the natural outcome of who you are becoming. That's the win. That's the goal. That's the power that's already in you, waiting for you to unlock it.